Joe Shane was busy yesterday. Um, Yesterday you saw that there was some roster moves made. Wide receiver Cole Beasley was added. Running back James Robinson was added. To the 90-man camp roster. Some people like the move. Some people are scratching their heads on why we're adding these guys to the team. But here's the thing: the New York Giants have been so bad for so long that even when we're adding quality players, even though they might be a little bit older or, possibly could be on the down slope of their careers, these guys are still too quality, well known, especially for the New York Giants. We're familiar with Cole Beasley. James Robinson, we're familiar with James Robinson as well too. And when you add guys like this to the roster, especially given the situation, the New York Giants are not the same New York Giants that we've been used to for the last 10 years. It's a new vibe in the building. It's a new feel. Shout out to my man Big Pat. Said there's a new sheriff in town. In his video when it comes to Joe Shane, and the guy's making moves. The guy's making some moves, and like I said, as Giants fans, some of us were just not used to, kicking the can on players, especially on good players. These guys can easily make the team. Cole Beasley and James Robinson. And when I think about Cole Beasley and why this was a good pickup for the New York Giants is because he already knows the offense for the most part. He knows the verbiage. Even if he doesn't know the plays, he knows the verbiage, he knows the route schemes and things like that. And then Brian Dable and also Joe Shane are very, very familiar, with Cole Beasley. And yes, another slot receiver. I see that a lot of people say, how many slot receivers are we going to have? Well, it's a competition, right? So the best men or the best team, the best guys will make the team. And if Cole Beasley has an outstanding training camp and preseason for the New York Giants, then Cole Beasley is going to make the team. Same thing for James Robinson. You keep adding to that running back room. Now, here's the thing. I love Gary Brightwell. I love Matt Breida. Obviously, we just drafted Eric Gray. The Saquon situation is a situation. But if a guy like James Robinson, given his talent, given his experience in the NFL, he can easily, if he's healthy, if he's ready to go, especially with his experience of what he's already done on the field, he's already, a proven, a good veteran guy to pick up. That running back room just becomes a little bit tougher of a roster to make, or a position on the roster to make when you add a guy like James Robinson. So both of those signings for me get a thumbs up. I think that Joe Shane is doing exactly what he's supposed to do, and that's being a good GM. You add as much talent as possible to a team, and like I said, for New York Giants as fans, we're not used to seeing things like this. We're used to having the same old guys, just giving guys positions, me included. You pencil people in, and then moves like this that were made with Cole Beasley and James Robinson, shake up, our ideas of what the roster might look like, at the end of training camp, at the end of preseason. So I like the two signings, Cole Beasley and James Robinson. I think it adds a lot more competition, during the training camp, but we'll see who gets it, man. We'll see who gets it. Then keeping it with the wide receivers, since I did talk about Cole Beasley, talking about some of the wide receivers, and this is a part 2 for those that haven't seen the first part of the training camp preview. The video went long, so I decided to do a part 2. This is that part 2. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check out that video. I'll probably try to put that in the link down below in the description. But back to these wide receivers. One complaint that New York Giants fans had was with Daniel Jones is getting Daniel Jones weapons. And Joe Shane was like, okay, cool, I hear you, I got you. And then looking at the camp roster when it comes to wide receivers, man, it is packed. It is packed. Now, there's a lot of slot receivers, yes, but it's packed. As far as trying to do your best to get some talent in here, I have to check that off as accomplished for Joe Shane. Dable, Kafka, these guys have to be excited with just some of the names that are in here. Names and potential. When you add a guy like Cole Beasley, that's experience. That's that guy's a gamer. That's real experience. And just going down the list, See, my opening week, I had guys like Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, and Darius Slayton being, those starting, quote unquote, starting wide receivers going into, the Dallas game. But here's the thing: now you have a guy like Cole Beasley who can, in fact, make this roster. He can make the 53, and I'm thinking Paris Campbell. Okay, Jalen Hyatt. You have Darius Slayton. You have Isaiah Hodgins. You got these guys. These guys are guaranteed, in my opinion, guaranteed to make the team. Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard, depending on what happens with them on either on the PUP and things like that. Sterling Shepard might be ready to go, but you really have to think about the guys that we're adding, and the guys that are left. And I had it as a max of 7 wide receivers making the 53. But given some of these injuries and stuff like that, it could possibly get pushed to 8. And I know that sounds crazy. And where do you get the space from on other positions, for you to even add a 8th wide receiver? And I'm thinking it's going to be the fullback. Now, right now, the only fullback listed on the roster is Chris Myrick, and we already know with Daniel Bellinger, becoming a tight end too, and with his skill set, he can easily, because we don't have a lot of sets or a lot of personnel where we actually use a fullback. But Daniel Bellinger can easily, in certain plays where a fullback is needed, be that guy that can do that. Chris Myrick did that last year. He was a tight end. They moved him to fullback, but now you're looking at, Bellinger like, okay, we need an extra spot. We might want to add an 8th wide receiver, and now we're going to go ahead and have Daniel Bellinger play double duty. Double duty him or maybe whoever the 3rd or 4th tight end. If we do keep 4 tight ends, who's going to be that guy that's back there? But I just think that Bellinger makes the most sense, and also roster wise, that's a good thing to have, especially that versatility, and you get to add on to another position, to get an extra guy in there that you really think can help and contribute to this team. And that's just looking at the list of wide receivers. And I'm looking at my paper notes. For those that follow me on Twitter, you see the notebook. I really do use notebooks. I know it's old school, but I do have an Excel as well. But I just like pen and pad, paper and pen, however you want to say it. That's just me, old school like that. But it's going to be very, very exciting, especially to hear the reports, and then when they let the fans in the building to watch these practices, man, I can't wait to see some of the stuff that we see, people posting their own videos on Twitter and stuff like that, so we can get a real feel of what the New York Giants team is working on offensively, in this training camp and in this preseason. And speaking of offensively, man, for me, thinking about Mike Kafka and the job that he has to do with this team, and thinking about Saquon Barkley possibly sitting out, and I said it in the previous video, you have to be more creative. The James Robinson signing gives you a versatile piece in the running back room. Some experience, gives you a veteran presence in the locker room. Now, when I think about that just now, and I'm thinking about it, okay, does James Robinson make Matt Breida's spot expendable? Go ahead and answer that in the comments down below. That just popped in my head because you have another vet on the team. I can't say a similar skill set because Breida is super fast and is very effective in the receiving game. James Robinson is good. He's versatile as well. But it just makes me think about, this move meaning a lot more than what we think, because Matt Breida is probably penciled in as the running back one since Saquon Barkley could possibly be sitting out. So that James Robinson move is big. Yeah, it's a big move now that I'm even thinking about it even more. I had a chance to sleep on it. And yeah, I think that's going to be an important move, maybe more impactful than we're actually giving it credit for, right now. But yeah, so Mike Kafka has his hands full in a good way on trying to figure out the best way to approach this season and get the best out of the guys that are on the field. And I'm pretty sure he's excited about that, given just some of the names and some of the potential that's in the wide receiver room. And then these young guys, also these running backs that have yet to show what they can do yet. I also want to talk about the edge room. That's a position room that I didn't get to in the previous video, and it's all about the depth in the edge room. Obviously, it's Tibbs. Obviously, it's Aziz, and then you have Ward. Then after that, I think it's going to be a really big battle. Now, you have Zimenez signed. You brought back Fox as well. You have Ellison Smith, which, if there's anybody that had a batch of bad luck, that's Ellison Smith. And then we have the UDFA in Baldonado. And I can't wait to see what Baldonado does. Baldonado, when it comes to a person that plays football, he is very, very young, very, very raw. From Italy, went played for Pittsburgh. Doesn't have a lot of football experience, but he was able to get a scholarship, and then ultimately not get drafted, but he was predicted to be, a late rounder, 6th, 7th rounder. And for him just to be able to do that with only about 3 years of football, 4 years of football experience, that's raw talent, that's raw ability. And when you have this coaching staff, I think Baldonado, if he's able to be, kept around, whether it be on the 53-man roster, which is going to be a hard task to do, but if we're able to keep him on the practice squad and develop him, we could have a guy that can possibly be something in the next few years. If we're able to hold on to him, I like the idea of developing a guy like Baldonado, a guy that's young and does not have a lot of football experience, but yet was good enough to possibly be drafted or seen as a possible late rounder, and then ultimately picked up as a UDFA, and then still held on throughout the whole process. So the edge room needs to be beefed up. Pause. We need to figure out and solidify who those backups in that rotation is going to be, just for rotation purposes, just for, in case somebody goes down. Obviously, Aziz did not have the best year when it comes to being healthy. Tibbs missed games at the beginning of the season. You want to make sure that you have a solid room, some solid depth behind those guys in case they need to fill out or fill in, for these guys. Wink Martindale. I like what Wink Martindale said early in the offseason. He didn't get the coaching job that he was, applying for. He interviewed, in a few spots. But Wink Martindale said, this is going to be, if it was up to him, this is going to be where he retires as, coach for the New York Giants. And I'm all for that, man. Football is a tricky thing. You can have success and people want you forever. You can fail and people want you gone. We saw what happened with Baltimore. The guy had a top 10 defense, top 5 defense in his previous years. They have a couple injuries. The defense has a down season, and automatically he's gone. And luckily for us, they did that, and we have him here now. But I just like what Wink Martindale said. He's in it for the long run, and as long as he's successful, as long as his team is successful, I can see Wink Martindale being the DC, for years and years to come. His scheme is unique to him, so he knows what he wants. They attacked the draft, and gave him some of the guys that fit his scheme the most, especially in the secondary with the taller, more physical cornerbacks and stuff like that. So again, training camp is going to be very, very vital. And if you're not a fan or you don't have a high interest level in preseason football, this year is probably going to be one of the best years to watch some preseason ball, especially with the final cut down on, the NFL only having one cut down. It's going to be a lot of quality guys being released all at the end of preseason, and the 53-man roster for the New York Giants might look differently the day after the cut down or the roster cut day. So yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting summer. Again, this is just going to be a preview of training camp. We're a few days away from training camp. I will be doing, like I said, the daily recaps of all the training camp practices. Can't wait to do that, and have some other things that might be coming away. Working on a couple of things. You might see a couple different content creators, as well, being featured and things like that, or me being featured on other people's pages. So that's something that we're working on. We'll keep it quiet for right now, but just know that we're working over here. We're working over here. So I want to thank you guys for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.